All right, that's Back in Motion by Chase City. This is me, Dr. Craig Norris, and you're listening to now the Media Mothership on Edge Radio 99.3. I can reveal on our Twitch stream the images which are coming through, so you can listen to us on Twitch, listen and see us on Twitch, or on Edge Radio, of course, 99.3 FM, or via the website, which is edgeradio.org.au. And we're looking everything in and around the world of media and pop culture. And in today's show, it is an enormous pleasure to have on, at the moment, Marcus Johnson, who's the MC of TasPop. But we'll also be joined shortly by Cammy Mile.
Cammy Mile. It's not Melee. It's I guess there would be the
French.
The temptation to treat the LE as a lay sound because it was originally a Japanese pop culture theme convention, but no, it's a pun on the kind of tea.
Really?
Yeah, chamomile, Cammy Mile.
Cammy Mile. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they that's what they chose as their new name because it was pun related and they adore puns.
It's amusing. So we've got Cammy Mile coming in, who's the president of TasPop, and we're going to talk about the TasPop South 2022 Pop Culture Festival, which is just around the corner. Not this weekend, next weekend. I'm going to discuss everything there is to know about going to a fan convention if you've never been to one. No, it's a festival.
It is a festival,
It's a festival, and I really want to talk about festival v convention, naming pragmatics, because this really, I guess it interested me that while this has, it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, it has the trappings of a convention with the activities, but nevertheless, it's a festival because that assists being able to support it, right? To get funding, it falls into a category of fundability that's easier than a convention.
When you talk about a convention, you're generally sort of, I believe, talking about like a professional education space, because you think about, an educational convention or like a convention where you talk about learning in greater detail things that come along with a trade or a discipline or a profession. Whereas a festival, the connotation there is that it's more of a celebration. It's more of an opportunity for people to come together and actually have a really good time and enjoy each other's company and celebrate something. And that's what TasPop is. It really is a celebration of popular culture and people getting a chance to really indulge in the stuff that they love. So
before we get too far into the world of the TasPop South 2022 Pop Culture Festival, while I've got you here, Marcus, I want to chat about something happening even earlier, which is tomorrow's roaming cosplay at the Variety Monster Book Fair. What is going on there? This is something which TasPop's involved in, and I know you've said you're going to be dressed up, cosplayed up.
Yes.
So what's happening tomorrow at the roaming cosplay Variety Monster Book Fair?
So Variety Tasmania it's a local charity, and the Monster Book Fair is to support children in need who are into reading. It's to support reading for children in need. And we were contacted by Variety, and we were asked by them, would you be roaming cosplayers at our festival? I mean, yeah, sure, we'd love to do that. So we are roaming between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. tomorrow at Prince's Wharf 1, which is the same venue as TasPop South. So it'll be a bit of a dress run for a few of us. I believe there's something like 10 to 12 of us, but there could be more who haven't said that they're coming. So we're meeting at IMAS on I've totally forgotten what the street is called. The something Esplanade?
Nearby.
Nearby. Meeting at IMAS, the Institution for Marine and Antarctic Studies, and heading over. So we're meeting at 9:50, so we can be there at 10. Basically just hanging out and interacting with attendees and having a good time, I think. I don't think it's anything too strenuous.
Is this a second-hand book sale or the Monster...
Let me have a look at that one.
Monster Book Fair, yeah.
Because I've had a chat with them previously about what the Variety Monster Book Fair is, but of course now that I'm being interviewed about it, I'm drawing a complete blank because it's one that I've not worked with before personally. So it's a very new experience for myself. I've never had anything to do with Variety before. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to do the well-cultured thing of going to their website to read their blurb. So step 1, feed the book monster. Feed the variety book monster your quality pre-loved books, DVDs, games, and puzzles throughout Monster May at any of the shipload stores statewide in
Yep, so
Tasmania.
that's what they were setting up. So they were obviously collecting over the last few months an enormous amount of donated material.
Yes. Step 2 is come along and stock up on your favourite books, games, or DVDs. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th. Princess Wharf number 1, Castray Esplanade. It is Castray Esplanade, where I'm at. Is also. This will be a monster of affair where we'll be celebrating inclusion and literacy. The best thing, you'll be helping children in need, because Variety is a charity that helps children in need.
So you can pick up some great books, bargains and stuff tomorrow at the Variety Monster Book Fair and the Roman cosplay. So what are we talking about in terms of some of the characters which we might see at the roaming costumes?
So we've got one person who's coming as Sakura Futaba from Persona 5, very big Persona 5 fan. Another individual who I believe is coming as the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man from up north. He's actually coming down for this event. He's really keen. I'm going to be cosplaying as Kotaro Tatsumi from Zombieland Saga, which is going to be my cosplay at TasPop South. I put a lot of time and money into this cosplay, so I want to get the most out of it. So I'm looking forward to giving it a bit of a test drive and seeing how it works. I don't know of any of the other ones we have. I know that someone is bringing along, there is going to be wearing their fursuit, their fursona, which I'm looking forward to, because the amount of quality of a lot of fursuits is quite impressive. Basically a full body fursuit as an anthropomorphic. I believe they are a fox or a dog. There's something canine related, and I'm sure I'll be corrected on the day. But yeah, we're going to have a very, very wide variety of different costumes. A friend of mine is cosplaying as Asuka Langley Shikanami from the rebuild of Evangelion movies, not the original TV version, because one of the movies is much nicer. I think that's pretty much they're the ones that I know of that will be there, but I think we're going to have something along the lines of 8 to 12 cosplayers, roughly 10. So there'll be a bit of diversity on offer.
Well, thanks. Well, look, so that's the roaming cosplay at the Variety Monster Book Fair tomorrow. You can catch up with Marcus and various other people in costume. We'll go to a song, and then we'll talk about, if you want to get your photo. Or cosplay's not consent.
Yes.
Right, so I want to talk about that. So we'll go to a song. This is Hey Boy by Brigitte. And we'll come back with some really interesting discussions about if you see these people in cosplay, how to behave around them. All right. So, that was. We just figured that out on Shazam. What was it again?
Hey Boy by Brigitte. Absolute
Yes.
banger.
Yes.
It reminds me of music from like from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike that had a really sort of like a house Latin vibe to it.
Yes.
One of my favorite video game soundtracks ever.
I'm going to do a whole show on video game soundtracks in the future.
Oh, yes.
I'll have to get you in. And you would have heard Cami. Cami, thank you for joining us. Cami, the president of TasPop. It's an immense honor.
Thank you so much for having me here and letting me in the building. I appreciate that.
Hey, no, that's fine. We keep it locked down here. It's like a bunker. We're kind of like, we're not the prepper bunker space. It's more that...
I do think lockdown might still be a little bit of a taboo word at this stage.
It's a trigger.
Yeah.
I should have like an audio little thing to play there to...
Just like the bars coming down.
Yeah, just emphasize that space. You're right. Yeah, look, and there's interesting because there's words you don't want to say as you're leading up to a big event. One of them was, I think you were describing it as water.
The R word. So
Yes.
okay, so other acceptable phrases for the 4-letter R word, because I did Shakespeare in the Gardens 4 times, and the stage manager was exceptionally superstitious. So when you got into the gardens, you were forbidden from saying the 4-letter R word. The options you had were precipitation, downwardly mobile liquid, or water that comes from the sky, but you could not say the 4-letter R word that rhymes with pain. It was forbidden. It was considered bad luck.
So it's the word that's the problem, not the context of the conversation.
I think it's a bit like the name of the Scottish play. Like if you say Macbeth in any context in a theatre, it's bad luck. It's like you can't be saying, "Oh, what's your favourite Shakespeare play?" It's Macbeth. You've said it. It's now bad luck.
I didn't even know that. I've only done theatre once, and half of the phrases didn't make any sense to me.
Because I guess what you're, it's superstition, right? You're not wanting to bring any bad luck upon the event. And although your event or the TasPop South 2022 will be downwardly mobile water, was that the phrase?
Yes.
Proof, right? So it's indoors.
Yeah, the majority of the event is going to be indoors. We do have some outdoor demonstrations. We have hired a pagoda to help with that situation.
I'm just knocking on wood for good luck.
Because of how big the venue is in comparison to a lot of the ones we've had before, if we do need to move demonstrators inside, that we should be able to make space for them. They're just out there swinging lightsabers, swinging swords. We'll put up a little barricade, but I think the taiko drummers are the only ones that we might have a hard time fitting in that venue.
Because I want to get onto some of the events which are coming up
Yeah.
at the Retro TasPop South thing. But before we do, so we'll get back to introductions because I do like repeating your name, Cami Mile.
Oh, thank you. It is a T-pun. That is intentional.
Marcus was kind of setting it up. Well, how did you... So this name was... self-inflicted?
Yes,
or?
it was self-inflicted. I actually, for the longest time when I was younger, everyone around me had nicknames. But nobody in my childhood would ever call me by a nickname. No one ever came up with anything for me, and I was really sort of bummed about it. And in my sort of early teens, I started doing YouTube, and I started by going by the name Caramel Cat 123, which was a reference to the song Caramel Dancin', which is a pop culture phenomenon. And yeah, one of my friends in that group, some people called me Caramel, one person called me Cami, and I was like, I really like that. But still, nobody would call me by a nickname, and the only time it actually started happening was when we all started getting into League of Legends, and there was a character in that game called Caitlyn. And she's one of the characters in Arcane, the new Netflix show for that, so people would all be familiar with her now. But because my actual birth name is Caitlyn, they started getting confused. It's like, Caitlyn, go bot lane. And I was like, what? No, what do you want about? I'm up here doing this. And so they finally decided, let's call you by Cami. And now even my parents call me that, like everyone does. It's just who I am now. It's my identity. People will go around and they'll be like, what's their real name? That's not their real name. And I'm like, it's a T-pun, guys.
It is perfect. Look, and it has made me think about themes. Obviously, there should be a tea-themed TasPop festival in the future. What's the theme, though, for this one coming up? What's the... is it retro?
Retro.
Yeah. So how's retro going to be articulated in the upcoming TasPop 2020 pop culture festival.
Yeah, I believe we've actually got quite a few game tournaments that are actually focusing on some of the older editions of games. So normally we have a Smash Bros tournament, but I believe this year we're actually doing a Melee tournament, which is like most commonly accepted as the most competitive of all of the Smash Brothers games. So yeah, there's a couple of different things like that. We've got some arcade machines and stuff that we're trying to get down. Intensity is one of our sponsors, and they're bringing down like last time they had Dance Dance Revolution, so I'm hoping they bring that down for us as well. And we've got like a couple of arcade machine setups with a heap of like old games for people to just go and play through. But yeah, it should be good. Retro is actually a theme that we tried to have for it would have been Icon 2019, and that event didn't go ahead. But we've kind of been holding on to that theme for a long time. There was a bit of a gap between that. We were trying to do a bit of a rebranding. So when we did our last Northern event in 2019, we went with the theme transformation, because we were rebranding. We thought retro was a bit of an odd thing to do if we're trying to be new and fresh. But this is the one that people have been waiting for. This is sort of the first event that we've had in the South since 2018. And so we're really, really excited to bring retro back. Everyone's like keen to sort of see that finally come to fruition. And I think having the whole break, having like COVID and the lockdown in between has only made that sort of more people are like, let's do this, let's get retro done, let's live it up. Like
Yes. So we've got retro in terms of some 80s stuff.
Yeah.
How far back? What's the most retro object?
I think it can go back as far as it needs to. I think the thing that for me was stunning was when I read the definition of retro, it's like 10 years or older, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't want to see early 2000s stuff. Like, kids are going to show up in Naruto costumes and be like, oh, I'm in retro.
So yeah, there'll be some stuff which is sadly contemporary, right?
It's going to be a little tragic, I think. But I am hoping to see some really old cool stuff. As one spoiler, we've actually got someone coming on one of the days dressed as Gumby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? So that's the big green...
Yeah, the big green
plastic.
man. He's actually like coming outside to do like photos at one point in the day. And he's one of the cosplayers I'm most excited to see, honestly.
That would be really special. So we'll have retro in terms of video games.
Yeah.
Then we'll have retro in terms of cosplay.
Yeah.
Right? There'll be some real old references. Any other hints as to what retro cosplays might be around the corner? Or
I ordered a retro cosplay, but I don't believe it's going to arrive in time.
And you want to kind of keep it secret?
Oh, not really. So I've talked about Kamen Rider a few times on this show. I really wanted to do a cosplay of Kamen Rider Black in his Civvy outfit before he transforms. But he has 3 jackets that he wears in Kamen Rider Black, and he has a couple that he wears when he comes back in the more recent shows. And it took me months upon months to decide which one I wanted to go with. And I decided I was going to wear the one where he comes back in Kamen Rider Decade to be a mentor figure. I only decided that at the end of June, so I don't think my jacket is going to be here in time.
No. I also had a really good retro cosplay plan that is not happening. But my housemate and I were going to cosplay as Asterix and Obelix. And like make like a giant paper mache menhir. Like,
yeah.
Would have been cool. Very cool. Not doing it though. There's just been too much to organise in the background.
You could have gotten Damon to be Getafix.
Oh, that would have been good. That would have. I mean, there are so many characters in that like I would love to see people cosplaying.
Now I'm just imagining everybody.
Right. Everyone just.
Benson would be fully automatics. He'd need to have the beard for it, but yeah.
All right, so we've got a little bit of retro flavour happening in the cosplay.
Yeah.
So obviously, in terms of events that people can look forward to seeing there, we'll have a cosplay competition. Mm-hmm. And the competition, you don't need to be in retro gear for the competition.
Yeah, the theme itself is one of the categories. So we've got, obviously, other categories for the competition, like best overall, best skit, best new blood, that sort of thing. But we do also have a best in theme category. And most of the competitions that we have, so we've got a fruits fashion competition, we've got the cosplay competition, we've got like writing and art competitions. They will all have a retro theme. So it is sort of like a specialized category for each of these events where Yeah, and you can put yourself down for as many sort of categories as you want. So you'll be in best overall, you do a skit sort of thing, but you're also cosplaying like Master Chief from the original Halo. Then, yeah, you sort of qualify for all of those prize categories and then may win depending on the quality of your costume.
Now, most people have got their cosplay together by this stage.
Oh, I wish I could say that's true.
That's not true, is it?
No, some of
the
the best cosplayers we have had up on stage, you like Dent will be up there and he'll be asking them on the day, like, oh, you know, when did you make your cosplay? And they're like, oh, 2 nights ago with a hot glue gun. Like, they will be up at 3 a.m. the night before the actual sort of convention. And they will just be throwing it together, but it always like looks immaculate. It's always the ones you least expect that have been sort of like absolutely created in the con crunch, we call it.
Con crunch. That's
Yes.
a great term. Con crunch. Hey, that seems to have triggered a post-traumatic stress disorder. But have you ever experienced con crunch?
Oh my gosh, that's the question. Okay, so I remember when I cosplayed as Carmina from Gurren Lagann back in 2011. This was actually, I remember I asked my grandmother, who was she was a terrific seamstress. I asked her for help making the cape because I thought it would be a wonderful bonding experience. And of course, she turned up on my doorstep and it was already finished. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Thanks, Nana. I really appreciate it. Wanted to make it with you, but this is still nice. But
that avoided all con crunch. In fact, you were so far away from con crunch.
No, it did not, because he's got red stripes on his pants down by the ankles, and I waited until the night before to hand sew them on because I can't use a sewing machine. And that was mildly annoying.
So you can't use a sewing machine. So you looked at various YouTube.
No.
You just kind of improvised?
No, I know how to hand sew. I just can't use the sewing machine. So I just stayed up late the night before.
Hand sewing?
Yeah, hand sewing the red stripes onto his onto the because they were my actual track pants, and I was like, I want to use these again. So I did it in such a way that they wouldn't fall off, but they'd be easy to remove once the con was over.
You've done well. I only know how to blanket stitch, but I think my worst probably story in that regard is like I've done the whole 3 a.m. trying to sew something together that hasn't worked out, but I think the one that did work out but that was kind of the saddest state was probably when I was trying to make an Ezreal cosplay again from League of Legends, and he has belts all down his jeans. So I went and I got like a big pair of men's jeans from a secondhand store, bought all of the belts that I could. And then I was trying to hot glue them onto the pants, but I was trying to make them fit my leg at the same time. So I was like hot gluing straight onto the pants while I was wearing them. And it was not a good experience. And I cannot recommend that to anyone.
What goes wrong there? Is it
It's the boiling glue. Yeah. And the pants were kind of like, they were all scrapped up. Like they had holes and stuff because that was kind of the look that he has. He's like an explorer type character. And it wasn't a good experience.
Con crunch.
But that's a part of it. Yeah, I think it's part of the experience.
So the Fruits fashion, is that slightly different from cosplay in terms of a lot of people have pre-bought kind of Gothic Lolita costume?
Not necessarily pre-bought, so it can still be handmade and everything like that. Fruits fashion basically covers a lot of the stuff that cosplay doesn't. Well, cosplay is costume role play, so it is representing a particular character from something, whether it's handmade or bought from the internet. Fruits fashion covers street fashion, like Harajuku fashion, Lolita, Gothic, and anything in between. So we'll get one of the best examples of like whether a character or a costume belongs in either Fruits or in cosplay are these things called gajinkas. And that is essentially a character that's, say, a Pokemon, someone like Blastoise or what have you, like something that's clearly like a monster. If they design an outfit that is meant to be kind of representative of that character, like they'll have cannons, but they'll have shorts and they'll have shoes, and they're kind of in the spirit of the character.
Yes.
But it's not a giant suit that's meant to look like this character. That would be a gajinka. Wow. And then that's something that would go into Fruits fashion because it's representative of that, as opposed to someone who made a giant suit of a big turtle, that would go in the cosplay competition.
So you've got references to the character design, so it could be the just the Astro Boy haircut, rather than being kind of almost nuded up with the black undies. And that would be a gajinka.
Yeah, and it's really fun because you can do animals and mascot characters and stuff that obviously aren't human at all. So like one of my favorite ones, again, with Pokemon, is there's a Pokemon called Wingull, which is literally just a seagull. So it's kind of hard to do a cosplay of it. But there's this really cute sort of gajinka design that someone's done, and it has like a little flat cap hat and the what is this called? The lip of the hat?
The brow,
the thing
the
that sticks
bill?
out the front. The bill. Well, it is basically a bill in this situation because it's yellow. It's meant to look like the bird's bill, and it's kind of representative of that. And they've got like yellow shoes to look like the feet, but it's clearly not actually a bird costume. But, you know, people who look at it will be like, oh, that's meant to be Wingull. That's so cool.
And I guess part of the thrill there is there's a kind of in-group, out-group vibe to it. Like, you have to be kind of in the know to pick up the references, right? Obviously, there'll be...
Some of them will be a lot more obvious than others. But yeah, it's definitely... It's about interpreting that character in a fashion kind of sense.
and it's something you could wear to Elizabeth
you could possibly get away with it,
pull
depending
it
on
off.
the character. Like, if you have giant cannons on your shoulder, it might still look a little strange, but, you know, you do you, honestly. But yeah, the Fruits fashion competition is about accessorization. It's about street fashions. It's the plague doctors, they go in there.
Oh, right, yeah.
Unless it's a particular plague doctor.
Yep.
Then it goes in the cosplay
And
competition.
it's interesting, isn't it? Because, there's still a kind of Japan Mothership vibe to a lot of the material, but it's pretty broad. I mean, there'll be some interesting references here. Do you reckon there'll be some plague doctors? You know, the huge beak,
I have
those
it
things?
on good confidence that there is, in fact, at
Really?
least going to be one plague doctor, yes.
Yeah, because I think enough time's passed, right? I mean,
They're planning on being a social distancing plague doctor, so it is a specific reference.
it's a clever device
Yeah.
to wear.
Absolutely.
Plague doctor. All right, so are there going to be any plague doctors tomorrow at the...
I would be surprised if there were.
I would be a little surprised. I mean, I will admit, because I do know the person who's doing this, I was like, yeah, that's great. Do that at the convention. That's going to be fun. I did mention to him, because we went and had photos taken for a newspaper today, I was like, maybe we'll keep you off the front cover of, like, the Mercury. We're not going to have the plague doctor as a part of the advertisement, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because one of the priorities for a good story is it timely?
Yes!
And your cosplay is timely. It is Plague Doctor, but that's actually not a selling point.
No, not really.
In some ways. It's a bit raw. You can be timely in a way that it's just too soon. Obviously, it's tragedy and... What was it? Tragedy plus comedy... This is like how much time can pass for a tragedy to become comedy.
22.7 years, according to South Park.
Oh, that's a long time.
Okay. So you're almost at that level with cosplay as well. Like, how much time can pass for you to cosplay?
I think
as the tragic space?
I think for me, it's like comedy is a part of coping. So I do think that that's kind of the aspect of it for a lot of people. They're going to be like, oh, ha, yeah. It's relatable to everyone in that sense.
The thing for me is that the beak of a plague doctor's mask is filled with potpourri and flowers and nice smelling herbs. So you would want a plague doctor around because they'll make the whole place smell better.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
Like a zombie march equally is kind of like, oh yeah, it's really timely.
Yeah.
No, actually, we shouldn't do that.
Well, there's an annual zombie march. I don't think it's gone on for the past couple of years, but
too soon. Also, because the stallholders at Salamanca Market really hate it. They think it's bad for their business.
I think it's great for their business. To be fair, I used to work in a video game shop, so it would always be great. Everyone would love the zombies, but to be fair, I wasn't down there trying to sell to tourists, and I can see that as being a little different.
Yeah, like it'd be interesting to do something on that. But okay, so with cosplay, I noticed there's a couple of events happening around cosplay. One was the trash cosplay, and the other was cosplay mystery date.
Yes.
What's going on with these events? What happens with these events? Sounds kind of fun.
Trash cosplay is basically you are given a whole bunch of useless items like ripped up newspapers and cardboard boxes and bits of string, and you are told to create a cosplay out of them on stage. So it's about a 45-minute to an hour event. So
if you've got good con crunch skills...
yeah, they'll come in handy.
And if you're an art teacher who had to do a whole lot of box work, that would be ideal for you as well.
Has this happened before? Is this the trash cosplay
Not at TasPop. It's happened at Blades of the Coast, which was a festival that ran in the Northwest a couple of times several years ago.
And what's been created? Have you seen anything that's been created from the trash ones before that has pulled off?
I personally haven't. We've run a couple of events in the past that have had a similar aspect to them. We had like a mech building competition in one of our, I think it was Takashi's Castle or something like that.
It was that, or I think there was an element of building cosplays out of paper and Tournament of Win as well.
Possibly.
Yeah. So
it's a familiar concept.
We've had it as a round in
Yeah.
larger game shows before, but this is the first time at TasPop where it will be the actual full event.
Do you know much about it? Is there like half an hour, or you've got half the day?
Half an hour, I believe.
It's a short period of
It's
time,
all
yeah.
done on stage. I remember
tough.
seeing a similar thing done when I was hosting at a different festival up in Canberra, and it was an 18-plus themed event. And oh man, can I actually say what the winning team made on the radio, or am I going to get in trouble for it?
Wow, that's a great question. As long as it's not defamatory or in breach of, I guess, like sexist, racist,
Okay.
homophobic.
So I will be as diplomatic as I can. So the winning team
I'm scared now.
the winning team made a facsimile of the masculine reproductive organ, which actually using a spray bottle simulated climax.
No.
That's impressive. I do feel like it would have to be, if it's going to be clarified as a cosplay, though, it would have to be a representative of a particular
I mean,
male reproductive organ, like for a particular
That's right.
character.
Which character is that?
it could just be like a Rule 34 version where they put on the wig of a well-known character and it's like, yeah, this is them in a hentai doujin. It's...
Incredible. I mean, that is a part of it. Let's
So
be real.
there are. I did notice there are some. Before we get into cosplay mystery date, there are some adult sections. Are there any? Like, there's auction.
There is an MA15 plus auction, which includes 18 plus material, so you got to flash your ID if you actually buy it. I think it's okay to be 15 plus for the purposes of the show itself.
Yeah, because
But
we
if you-
don't show the gory details.
Good.
Yeah, it's like I anticipate that the manga gravitation is going to be there because every single year when it was still Icon, someone would buy it, read it, and resell it in the next auction. So I would say it is particularly unhygienic by now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that's my exact problem when I look to buy any kind of product that's like R18. It's like pre-owned.
And it's like every year.
Maybe I'll go brand new.
Every year there was the same Catgirl figurine where she's dressed as a maid and she's bent over and she's licking milk off the floor. And she is
goodness me.
presenting, and no one ever bought it. Year after year, it was the same lengthy, detailed description by my cat girl licking up milk while her bum's in the air. And no one ever bought it. No one made a single bid on it. Year after year, it was always there, and no one ever bought it.
Is it there this time around?
I
hope so. For
Wow.
posterity's sake, and because it would fit the retro theme. It's a
Maybe one day we'll find it a home.
Come and see.
We should.
Yes.
I mean, maybe not in that order, but
Thank you.
sorry.
I walked into that.
Sorry.
So the cosplay mystery day.
Yes, that's my favorite event.
What happens there?
Cosplay Mystery Day is a fun event where we get some people to sign up in advance as bachelors or bachelorettes, or whatever the non-gender specific version of that is. And we get them, on one side of a partition, and then we pull 3 people from the crowd. The basic aim of the game is that the bachelor or bachelorette will basically have a list of questions that are in character.
So you grab 3 people from the crowd to be the
contestants.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is.
Do they have to put their arm up?
Yeah,
or if you're in the
put
crowd?
their arm out. We pick them out. But essentially, the aim of the game is to get picked by the bachelor. So the bachelor will ask a number of questions about their relevant interests, and it will all be in character. And then the contestants have to answer in character. So one of my favorite ones that we ever did was I was hosting it that year, and the bachelor was Anakin Skywalker. And I remember asking some sort of question about, I can't remember it wasn't about childbirth, but it was about something to do with like supporting your pregnant wife and not running off, because obviously Anakin Skywalker hasn't done the best at that. And yeah, there was just a whole thing, like each of the contestants basically have to answer in character, and you know, depending on what they're like, that could be Sonic behind there, it could be some obscure anime character, and they can answer in whatever way. Like,
Yes.
we get these really fun, casual characters sort of mixing with these sort of psychotic tsundere girls. Like, it's a lot of fun. And it involves a lot of ad lib, but it is absolutely one of my favorite events of the entire.
Yeah, it really comes down to the
Thing.
chemistry that
Yeah,
you've
it
got
does.
in the moment, and sometimes it just works. Sometimes I imagine it's a bit chalk and cheese.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get a couple of awkward moments in there where people like struggle to think of an answer because it is very on the spot and it's very sort of tense to do so. But some people just come up with some absolutely incredible one-liners.
Wow.
And it's always a pleasure to see.
As you were saying that, I was thinking of the kind of mashup universes that are being performed there, which did remind me of another event I saw, the bad fan fiction. Is that a panel or
Yeah, that one's a panel. Unfortunately, that one has actually been cancelled because the people who usually run it aren't able to do it because of health reasons. Which is a shame because, yeah, again, it's a panel that's been run multiple times. It's an absolute fan favourite. We read out these incredible fan fictions. I don't want to say that they're bad, but it's the name of the thing. And I'll never forget because I was a part of that panel as well, reading out a Transformers M-Preg fiction.
Oh, wow.
And I was the narrator.
I'd love to do some radio plays
Oh, yes.
based on that. I wonder what the licensing problems might be there. But
Oh, well, I mean, if it's artistic enough, if it's transformative,
yes.
then you
Yeah,
should be. And
transformative media. You're
I'm
quite
going to
right.
be real. If it is an MPreg Transformers story, I think that, which involved Oprah Winfrey somehow, that's transformative. I mean, there's no arguing that.
Don't hide your head in your... So MPreg, for those that don't know, let's fill in some great
Oh,
definitions.
do I have to explain that? Okay, so MPreg is it basically means male pregnancy. So it's a fictional concept. Well, it's not a fictional concept these days, but like in terms of in fandom media, it's usually a male character that somehow magically ends up pregnant. And you know what? I haven't really read much of it, so I'm not sure of the details on how that plays out afterwards. The one that I did read was Transformers, so they could probably...
So who got pregnant in
transform
the
to fit it.
Transformers one?
I think it was Optimus Prime.
Prime
I'm fairly
gets
certain it was.
Pregnant.
I'm
with
not
a-
sure. I'm not sure who the baby daddy was, but there was a baby daddy. I mean, I guess they're both baby daddies. Dan, stop shaking your head.
But that's not there. That's not there this time around. So we
Yeah,
shouldn't get
no,
too
that's
excited.
not there. That's not there.
We shouldn't get too... Yeah. So, with the trash cosplay contest...
Yes.
Trivial Pop Suit.
Yes.
What happens in Trivial Pop Suit?
Game show.
All right, so there'll be contestants.
Yeah.
Is it 2 teams of 3 or?
I think it's 2 teams of 3, but also the audience does get a couple of rounds. So it's 2 teams that are also playing against the audience, I believe. And it is essentially, a trivia game. So they'll go through different fandoms. Like one of them is guess the ages of the character. So anime is absolutely infamous for having characters that look like they're one age, but are absolutely another age. Like one of the sort of more famous examples is probably like Lucky Star, where the characters all look really cute and young, but they're all meant to be 16 and it just doesn't look like it at all. So they'll do rounds like that where it's like guess this, or they'll have like a list of Harry Potter trivia or what have you. And then the 2 teams sort of play against each other. I'm fairly certain the teams are also pulled from the crowd, so that's another crowd participation one. And then, the audience gets to answer some of those questions as well, or correct them if the teams are wrong, kind of thing, and the audience gets some points.
Are there going to be prizes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's prizes for most of them. I think that the trash cosplay competition, it's going to have prizes, but I have been told that they will be mysterious and interesting. So I'm not really sure what to make of that.
Well, Dan, I know you were talking, or Marcus, you were talking to me before about, or a previous show about the stick.
Oh, the
The
stick.
auction stick. Like
The
there are
auction-
objects
Oh,
which
yes,
gain
yes,
this enormous value that are far in excess of their use or actual commercial value. And are there any objects that, like, is the stick going to make an appearance? This was an auction stick, or the stick you were using for the auction or something, and then it got auctioned off to this crazy cost.
Different event. That was for
That was
AvCon
Adelaide?
in Adelaide. Yeah. So the initial stick, I believe, went for $500. No, that's a lie. It went for $250. It wasn't that bad. The second stick, a couple of years later, the stick 3.0 ended up going for, I believe,
3.0. Okay.
the second one was just a joke. I think the second stick was just like I think it was a toothpick or something.
Yeah.
Which was like, the idea was like, it was like an iPod going down in size the further along you got.
Yeah.
The stick 3.0 was like the staff that was being used by one of the mascots, and that went for close to $1,200, I think.
All right, because it was also a kind of theme object and cosplay object.
It ended up going between the purchaser of the original stick, who was cosplaying as Guts, and he was a really big guy, Guts from Berserk, wearing armor and everything, versus a bunch of kids who were all dressed as characters from Oran High School Host Club or My Hero Academia, and they ended up coming up on stage, and it looked like the final boss fight from a JRPG. You got this one really big masculine final boss and his two flunkies, and you got all these androgynous kids who are all competing for it. And of course, as with every JRPG ever, the androgynous kids won. I think because the Guts cosplayer was bidding out of his home loan fund. I think he realized at one point he was like, I would rather have a house than this stick.
If you have to make a choice between one or the other, like,
Obviously
that's not
pick the
even a
stick.
housing crisis situation. That's just.
Are there any mythic objects at TasPop? Any objects that have?
There is a bit of a tradition at the auction where at MyCon and TasPop North, the Launceston-based events that we ran, / will run in the future. I'd always take the last box of Pocky at the convention, and the entire committee would sell that, and people would bid over it, and the money would just basically go into our bar tab for the after party.
Oh, nice.
So I think the highest we ever got for that was about $60 for a signed box of Pocky.
So there will possibly be another signed box of Pocky happening.
There's usually something weird at the end of the auction. My personal favorite was the ball pit. We had a ball pit as a reference to DashCon, and it had very few balls in it. And yeah, that sold for a couple of hundred. To someone who worked for Telstra or something like that. Like, my housemate found out about it later. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the guy that bought the bowl pit." But yeah, I mean, that was fun. I don't know how he transported it. We kind of just handed it off to him, like, it was sized.
One could say that we handballed it.
He got more than an hour in that ball pit.
So what else we got coming up? We got the AMV showcase. Yep. We got some good AMV coming through.
We've actually had some entry, like quite a few entries now. And I'm keen to sit down and go through them, because we prejudge that one. We judge it beforehand, and then we go through the actual AMVs on the day, and then announce the winners during the closing ceremony.
So these are anime music videos, which have had clips from various anime or an anime compiled together,
usually to a song.
A nice piece. Yeah. And there'll be a screening of the
there'll be a screening of all of the entries. And that one does have a bit of variety to it as well. Like, usually it will just be clips of anime that have been put to a song. Some of them have really, really high-end editing, and they're really impressive. One of the ones that we got at TasPop North 2019, which was one of my favourites, I think it won Best Comedy, was actually one of the Naruto openings, but it was completely recreated in Minecraft. And like, like, they put a bit more effort into that, obviously, because they recorded the clips. They sort of made skins for the characters, and they like recreated it. But it was absolutely fantastic. Like, it was just so funny as a concept.
I think my favorite AMV from a shonen series was someone at some point realized that in Bleach there are a lot of shots that are like from the ground, low angle shots looking up of guys jumping from the sky into the camera, and so they set just a montage of every time that happens to It's Raining Men, and it was brilliant.
So the event's going over 2 days.
Yes.
There's stuff we haven't touched on yet. Anything that you're looking forward to in particular? Anything we've not mentioned that you want to flag?
The quiz night.
You would. You absolutely would.
I have been slaving over this one. 42 questions, very varied. Anime, video games, fantasy movies, sci-fi movies, lots of different fandoms. And it's just, there's a lot of retro stuff, there's a lot of modern stuff. I got some of my students to test it out the other day. And because they're all 14, they didn't do very well. Because I have explicitly said this quiz is made for anyone aged 16 to 37. Though yourself could obviously join in, and quite happily. Sorry, but someone actually said, "Why 37?" And I said, "Well, because that's that's the arc number from like the Kevin Smith movies. So that in and of itself is a retro pop culture reference." But there's like anime and cartoons from the 80s in there. So basically it would fit anyone from Gen Xers to Gen Zers.
I am excited, but also terrified for how old it's going to make us feel.
We're all going to feel very old. I actually realized, because my first anime was Space Knight Tekken Man Blade when I was 5. I watched that with my mom back in the mid-90s. So for me, stuff from like the late 90s, that doesn't register as retro for me. I just remember like watching like Pokemon VHS tapes and seeing the ads for things like Martian Success and Nadesco or Bubblegum Crisis 2040, going, wow, this is so modern. To me, it is to an extent. Anything from the 80s and before that is retro. Anything from the 90s onwards, yeah, it's modern. Like everyone's watched that.
So if people want to know more about the TasPop South 2022, where should they go?
So they should visit our website, south.taspop.org.au, or just head to taspop.org.au and hit the retro-looking button that stands out quite a lot. And have a read up there on some of our events, on the ticket prices, on the vendors hall. We've got a lot of really cool vendors coming in. We have a heap of people supporting us as sponsors as well this year. We've gotten a heap of support from the Hobart City Council, from Lumen's Workshop, which is a cosplay sort of material sales group in Victoria even, and they're supporting our cosplay competition. They're providing all of the prizes for us for that, so we're going to have a heap of really cool prizes for that. We've got Intensity locally as well, Area 52. We have a couple of like small local businesses like of Dyson Men also coming in and doing like D&D games over the course of the weekend that people can come and play.
I also love that with the Dyson Men, their acronym is what most D&D players will say multiple times in a session, which is, oh, damn.
Yeah, and we capitalised the D in that one as well. But yeah, we've got a heap of people. Kalara, like 2.5 games. We've gotten a lot of support this year, which is really, really great to see. Obviously, huge shout out to Prince's Wharf 1. They have done an exceptional amount to help us here to experience this new venue. And it's just been wonderful to see it all come together.
Also, Out of This World is donating a bunch of consoles that we are using for the Games Room tournaments.
Wow. Tournaments.
Yes.
So if you've got some skills, come down, see if you can battle your way up to number 1.
So there are 9 tournaments that we're running across the weekend. So we've got Tekken Tag Tournament 1 on the PS2, Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on the PS4, using that version because it's arcade perfect, Soul Calibur 6 on the PS4. What else? What is there?
I don't know if Soul Calibur 6 counts as a retro.
It's not. So we're keeping
keeping
a mix of relatively old and relatively new. So we've got to have a few newer things in there. There's also Mario Kart Wii, not 8 Deluxe, much to my consternation, because 8 Deluxe is gangster.
It is an incredible compilation of everything that Mario Kart stands for.
There's also Crash Team Racing, Halo 3, GoldenEye, the greatest FPS game ever, and Mortal Kombat 11.
Wow. So I feel like we've just scratched the surface there. Kami Mile and Marcus Johnson from TasPop, thank you so much for joining us here on Media Mothership. I've been your host, Craig Norris. Be sure to head over to edgeradio.org.au for more information and other great shows. And if you want to see extended interviews and discussions, head over to YouTube, search for Media Tackle. That's been us for another week. Keep listening. Adrian's around the corner playing some great retro music. Actually, that's a nice link.
That's a nice little tie-in. Yeah. Very well done.